Hey, it's Soul, and welcome to another episode of Warcraft Weekly. Hit the like button, subscribe for more of that copium-filled commentary, and if a post from Wowhead is of any indication, 10.0.7 is coming soon. And you know what that means.
It's time to hype! Let's go! Wait, is there a date? There's no date, is there? Okay, Bob, can you put everything back? This too?
Thanks. No, not like that. Okay, are we good? Oh my god. So 10.07 does not have a launch date, but the WoW team has been trickling in the teases, featuring a short video and a blog post highlighting the major features coming in this minor patch, like the Orc and Human Heritage Armor quests. And that's it. That's all they've done. The buzz and the hype happens once it passes through the fans and the creators and the critics. We react to it. Like always, reactions are going to be a mixed bag of cheers and jeers, but also in this case, confusion. Poking around social media reactions, I've seen more than a few commenters bewildered that, what, the new Mythic Plus season isn't coming out? There's no increased item level, there's no mega dungeon, no new raid. Nope, there's nothing for that crowd. I can fully understand not caring for either of these minor patches because, for some in the world of WoW, it is all about reaching new heights with your character. A zone full of lore and cosmetics, a Furbolg faction, heritage armor sets, well, to those kinds of folks, garbage, literal waste of time, not interested, and I get that. So I encourage those folks hold off for later. 10.1 is going to come in a few months, which brings me back to the confusion bit. As a WoW commentator, I'm like waist deep in this game pretty much every day. I'm in it, whether it's the game itself or in conversation. Going through the motions from day to day, it's like watching a clock, and for folks like me, time moves really slowly. The phenomenon applies to all of us in different ways. Sometime this month, I predict 10.0.7 is going to drop, making it Dragonflight's second patch, and I think some players are a little bit thrown off by that, because back in Legion days, its second patch was 7.1.5 and its third raid released, the Nighthold raid. BFA's second patch was 8.1.5, that was well into Season 2, which launched the Crucible of Storms, also the expansion's third raid. Shadowlands' second patch was 9.1, with only a second raid, and with Dragonflight, well, its second patch still has us in Season 1. Context is important, like how much time has passed between each of these patches, and how since BFA, WoW has fully divided itself into these seasons. Dragonflight can still best be compared to Legion though, and if we assume that Dragonflight Season 2 begins by late May of this year, that sort of cadence lines up with Legion's release of the Nighthold raid. We're gamers and armchair analysts though, so let's take score. Between Legion's launch and the Nighthold raid, the expansion added the Trial of Valor raid and Karazhan. Meanwhile, Dragonflight has added 0 instanced group content of the sorts, but these are two very different eras of WoW. Most everyone has mixed feelings about a mid-tier raid that doesn't offer item level increases, and the WoW team is ultimately counting on a full rotation of dungeons to entertain players in future Mythic Plus seasons. Not only that, but not everyone cares about dungeons or raids, and Dragonflight is pushing world content harder than any previous expansion from recent memory. Legion was back when World Quest first debuted, and the novelty of it was still kinda sorta there. The thought has crossed my mind, and this is gonna sound really stupid at first, but hear me out. Are there too many patches on this roadmap? I'm wondering if for some there's a sort of hype fatigue settling in, like, oh hey dude, here's a patch, let's go! Oh, it's just the trading post. And then on this other new patch, it's like, oh let's go! Oh, it's just casual content, This is the very different approach from previous expansions where launch content was front-loaded with lots of grinds and time gates to stretch out the entertainment until the next tier. In the case of Dragonflight, there are fewer, not none, but fewer of these gates, and on the dev side, the WoW team has more time to create this mid-season content, rather than try to push it out early to meet some deadline. Imagine if the Forbidden Reach zone was given the same rush treatment as the Maw for the sake of making it part of launch content. I'm kind of glad that things happen to turn out this way. But now I want to pass this off to you folks. How are you feeling about Dragonflight's schedule? Are you loving the steady stream of activities? Are you fatigued? Are you waiting on the sidelines for 10.1? Let us know in a comment. This week, the trading post for March opened up, and the theme is looking good. It's actually called looking good. I'm not saying it's looking good, although I am. Anyway, let's take a closer look at this month's lineup to understand the behavior of this feature. One big thing that we notice is that there are no mounts at all this time. I suspect that at some point we're going to run out of discontinued shop mounts or variants, and that's why instead we got an old pet up on the trading post. But the top ticket item ended up being this plate transmog ensemble, which I found really curious. At a cost of 850 tender, it's more expensive than the male ensemble and the trusty treasure trove. In fact, last month's lineup didn't have any items that cost 850 tender. So I'm gonna say that ensemble, as cool as it is, it's kind of a trap. But now we can divide the trading post items into a few different subjects that we can expect to see rotate in the future. We have the one thing that used to be on the shop, likely limited to be at most one item at a time. There's upper tier ensembles, in this case armor specific ones that I find curious, maybe a little bit restrictive. I guess that's countered by the ensemble that we get when we max out our Traveler's Log, since that is not class restricted. Then we have the weapon section, this month's lineup being items with different class restrictions from the previous month. Then we have a cloak and scarf section, this one in black, and towards the bottom are smaller items to use up extra points if you're a spender, although that shirt over here is easily the hottest thing of them all. In the wake of World of Warcraft shutting down in China, Blizzard is following the money and has introduced the WoW token to Classic, at least over in the Taiwanese region. This is nothing new. The WoW token appeared in the China region less than 6 months after WoW Classic launched. It seems that enough players migrated over to the Taiwanese region to influence this shift in philosophy, and it's a small positive that there are, I guess, that many players still passionate about the game. Or it's clear desperation that Blizzard is trying to get those China players back. Keyword Bobby Kotick and Mike Ybarra, they're evil, Microsoft acquisition, ATVI stock price. I think I nailed the keywords there, but yeah, pick your story. I'm bringing this up because 1, it's a slow news week, but 2, I want to ask this question. Would the WoW token help WoW Classic out? Don't come at me with no changes energy, folks. It's 2023, wake up. But depending on who you ask, Classic has huge problems with gold selling, to the point where some feel like it's the only way to really play the game. According to critics, too few people bother actually trying to progress through raids. They end up entering a loop where they buy gold to use in GDKP runs. GDKP, where the G stands for gold, is a player run thing where a few whales get into raid, and when stuff drops, they're the ones that are able to bid on these items, and then the gold that they use up is distributed to participating members who carried them through. In theory, one would do that a bunch of times, get gear, and then become the carrier, getting paid a cut to help others get this gear. Introducing the WoW token now probably wouldn't change this behavior at all. In fact, it would mostly make Blizzard money, so it wouldn't exactly be the kind of great idea I want Blizzard to cut a check to me for. The WoW token's purpose, outside of Blizzard bankrolling off gold sales, is to gut punch direct gold sellers who employ like these armies of bots who farm up raw gold and then make them available through third-party sites. The WoW token attempts to adjust that loop by being better at the business, basically, as a facilitator of safe gold exchanges between players, while cutting off the third party entirely. Those sites are still around, but one would argue it's harder for them to compete with turning in a few tokens without having to so much as click outside of the game. The consequence of the token has been the mainstreaming of gold buying, whether you think that's the devil or not, and this general redistribution of gold wealth. Whales buy tokens to get gold and buy things like carry services, and that gold is given to the carriers, who will then spend these things on consumables, materials, and gear and other stuff, not being really frugal about what the price is, and that gold passes down to gatherers, and it all flows through this never-ending and super complicated loop. Now, will introducing the WoW token to Western realms be a positive? It's in Taiwanese realms now, and it's not like China players were able to bring their gold with them to these servers. The token is being introduced to their existing economy. Maybe it'll stop the botting from getting worse if it's brought over here. I mean, it's one thing to spend time and resources in the never-ending anti-bot war, but it's another thing when third parties have to compete with the game itself. Now, maybe it's already too late to have any effect, and I seriously doubt that the WoW team would do something unprecedented like a mass gold reset. Or could you really tell me with a straight face that you'd be happy to log on one day, see all of your gold gone, and be like, ah, we're home, boys. And that's the show. Our team was close. We were so close to getting her down, coming in at 3%. And then, in a final rally, we pushed. We were in the zone, we were in it, and we got to the second transition with no hiccups, and then suddenly, I got cut.
God damn it, Soul.
Damn it.
My strategy of staying with Soul did not work out this time.
Right.
So next week, we've got the deeps, we've got the plan, we've got the experience, we just need a little bit more. It's kind of a personal goal that I want Heroic done before this patch comes out, and then the team can relax for a little bit and switch mains and mess with alts and that sort of thing. Which reminds me, I'm gonna have to level up as many characters as I can in preparation for the patch, because I want to try and get a head start for that Scara Vault progression. Now, I want to make it super clear that this Vault thing coming in 10.07 is mostly for fun. I mean, yeah, there's player power in there, but it's nothing that you're really gonna stress over. With the announcements rolling in, it's just a matter of time, so be on the lookout for a prep guide. I'm also sorry, not sorry, I was really distracted this week because I caught the Diablo 3 bug. The latest season has really let me take off, and there are a lot of quality of life perks to make jumping in pretty easy. I'm also mentioning this because next week the Diablo 4 Early Access Beta is going to happen over the weekend, and I'm planning to jump in on that. So join me over on Twitch next weekend so we can learn more about the game, because I seriously know like next to nothing about it. And I'm pretty stoked to learn more. So I want to give thanks to the wonderful folks over on Twitch for your company and support. Let's not forget our Patreon fam who've been sticking around through thick and thin. And let's include our first new patron in a long time, Andres. Thank you, and thank you, viewer, for making it to the end. Next week ought to be exciting, and I hope you join me for it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.